In this episode, Jackrabbit Homesteads, Kim Stringfellow's study of the cultural legacy of the Small Tract Act in Southern California's Morongo Basin.
It's kind of the edge of civilization, and nobody's felt particularly motivated to change it. So it's kind of stuck in time.
CalEarth, an organization teaching super adobe construction techniques as an alternative to suburban sprawl.
We build arches, we build circles, we build domes, we build vaults, and these are all based on the same cooperative relationship with gravity, pulling your building together over time.
The Date Farmers, a Coachella Valley duo whose work infuses abstract expressionism with politically charged pop art.
When you're in the desert, it's crazy because nothing is given to us. You have to find it, you know? That's the desert. That's where we're from.
Incendiary Traces, a project that challenges participants to become conscious of militarized landscapes.
These individuals are learning stuff and rehearsing things that are supposed to save their lives. I am uncomfortable with the fact that if we stop or interfere with that, we can get somebody killed.
Sherry Elf, a multidisciplinary artist known as Joshua Tree's Art Queen.
When I see people working at a job, maybe they think they have to work there forever. I feel so sad because I busted out of the box.
And landscape painting and video art of Diane Best, whose work personifies the spirit of the high desert.
It's incredible, and it's frightening too. I have really frightened myself out there in some situations.
Next, on Artbound.
My name is Kim Stringfellow. I'm an artist educator. When I decided to document photographically these Jackrabbit homesteads, I made it a point to only photograph the abandoned cabins. You have to understand that these are, way out in the desert. Between each cabin, there's quite a distance. And I would usually park and walk to several cabins, maybe walking about 10 miles. In my article, my idea was to bring together a past history and the current history of the Jackrabbit homesteads, the history of the Small Tract Act, and bring this into how they are used today through this creative community. It was really great working with Artbound to develop this video, to actually see the voices, see these places, see the works, see the architecture firsthand, I think is a really great thing.
You have a tie to the place where you live. You appreciate that the sun shines and dries your bricks.
There's this very romantic idea about being in this very small structure, very open to the elements. There's a sense of space here that's incredible. You can see for miles here. And there's so many different subtle changes within the landscape. It's very meditative.
You either love it or you hate it. There's no two ways about it. This part of San Bernardino County basically was very sparsely populated. Nobody really settled this area until after World War I. There was a lot of returning veterans who had lung disorders. Physician James B. Lucky suggested to many of his patients that they seek a cure in the warm, dry air of the desert. And he thought that this area was pretty good, particularly 29 Palms, because there was an oasis here for a source of water. So many of the veterans did come out here actually seeking a cure.
I've been working on a project on Jackrabbit homesteading since about 2005. We're out here in Wonder Valley. It's one of the areas that has probably the most homesteads in the Mojave area.
Wonder Valley is not actually a place in any kind of real designation, so it is more a state of mind. It began to gain some form in around the late 40s, 50s, 60s, when the Small Tract Homestead Act went into effect, and little homesteads began springing up throughout this area and a lot of areas of the Morongo Basin and all the way into Nevada and Arizona and the Low Desert.
This was one of the last of the Homestead Acts that allowed people to get public land from the federal government if they were able to lease out a property, improve it up by building a small structure, and they could then dispose of it, sell it, give it to heirs.
Here in Wonder Valley, the community of homesteads has stayed particularly intact because it's kind of the edge of civilization, and nobody's felt particularly motivated or that there was sufficient profit to change it. So it's kind of stuck in time.
Deserts were not the sort of place that people really, really wanted. It was obviously way, way, way too hot or way too cold. So for people to come and homestead out here was indeed rather odd.
The interest in the Western heritage and the sort of very romanticized idea of the Western landscape. That was huge during the 40s and the 50s and even into the 60s. So this is a big part of our cultural heritage, and I think that kind of romantic idea about place and wanting to be part of that and wanting to project yourself into this particular kind of landscape was really attractive for a lot of people. There's something about them. They're located in this kind of hinterland. There's a certain kind of aesthetic out in the desert. It's this rustic bohemia that is prevalent throughout this area.
This homestead cabin behind me is mine. I use it as my art studio, and it's a really classic example of the kinds of homesteads that were built. And they would go up in the space of a day. They were practically like package homes.
People came out here with a romantic idea of what this was going to be like. And some of those communities are still established today. But a lot of these properties were left to just slowly degrade into the desert and melt back into this really desolate landscape.
The ones that stayed were obviously people that had some kind of respect for the land and the coyotes and the scorpions and all the other normal creatures of the desert, and it has a beauty all of its own.
There's always been a wonderful, unpredictable mix of folks here. Going all the way back to the original homesteaders who came out, they were very excited, partly at the freedom of being able to create their dream and not have control over them. That and some sort of a relationship with this desert environment, even if it's nothing more than the freedom and the space and the opportunity to be however they want to be.
I first became familiar with CalEarth when I met Human Falzi. I was really excited about this idea of sustainable architecture that's based on these very ancient ideas of structures, domestic structures. They're using essentially dirt from the surrounding area. When they have these apprentices come in, they really stress that this isn't dirt, this is earth. We're made of the same materials, this is all part of us. And to respect this earth. And when you put that kind of emphasis into this type of design, it makes for a better environment to live in. They're really thinking about sustainability. I think they're thinking far into the future when resources, have been depleted, and how to also make a structure that is very aesthetically pleasing. These are beautiful, beautiful buildings. They look very organic. The way that they're built, the structure is not continuously fighting to pull itself apart. It's really sort of coming into itself. I keep referencing the beehive and this idea of a communal type of built environment, because to do these, you really need a group of people to help you put these together. It's almost like a barn raising, because you have to fill these bags, you have to create these round structures that lead into domes, you need a group of people to help. And so it helps to build community as they're being built.
Originally, when my father came to this empty plot of land, he was trying to figure out what kind of a place he can start to experiment and build structures that would help humanity and nature. They had no money or anything like that, so they said, what can we do that would be really inexpensive? Well, let's dig a hole.
My dad was so passionate about helping people, and he believed that architecture was most meaningful if people were able to build themselves their own home with nothing but the earth under their feet. This was his quest, this was his life's work that he spent every day out here in the desert, and sometimes people thought, you know, what's this crazy man doing?
Nader Khalili, our founder, an Iranian-American architect, got a lot of his inspiration from classical Persian poetry, and especially the mystic poet Rumi, who says, "Earth turns to gold in the hands of the wise," and the timeless four elements of earth, air, water, fire. And we use the four elements really in all of our practices. Earth is our primary material, and varying the water content, we could get earth to behave in a lot of different ways. Fire can be seen as the sun. We position our buildings so the sun helps heat it when we need heat, and it also shades itself. And of course, air leads to the drying of the building. We insist at our institute that all of our students demonstrate respect to the medium by calling it earth and not just addressing it as dirt. In a nutshell, Nader would tell people to dig your pool and build your house. And we just teach people the basic skills of how to transform that earth from under your feet to over your head.
Originally, when my father first came here, this desert was completely empty. Then when the housing boom happened, we became surrounded by these cookie-cutter homes.
Our neighbors really don't know how to think of us or what to do with us. We get a lot of Star Wars. It looks like Tatooine, or it looks like Hobbit houses. People ask, oh, are you a commune? We're like, no, not really. We have an on-site residency program, but we're not a commune. You know, they're like, are you a cult? We're like, well, we're very passionate about what we do, but we're not a cult.
My father was a traditional architect and urban developer building skyscrapers, but he was very unhappy. So he left that work because he realized that it wasn't serving humanity or the earth. My father's passion was the fact that there's over 1 billion people in the world who have inadequate housing today. The solutions my dad came up with were how to build a home cheaply and be taught to anybody.
We build arches, we build circles, we build domes, we build vaults. And these are all based on the same cooperative relationship with gravity, where gravity is not slowly pulling your building apart, but it's consistently pulling your building together over time.
The reason you see all these prototypes at CalEarth is that we're presented with challenges in different environments. And so we continue to test until we come up with a solution.
It's actually amazingly flexible, so every time we go to another country to design something there, we always take into consideration local traditions, different kinds of waterproofing or plastering, so that we can accommodate the needs of the people who are going to live in the homes.
We've taken these structures and taught a lot of people, and they've been built all over the world, from Africa to Europe to Asia, dealing with humanitarian crisis and personal housing.
Our site in San Bernardino here at CalEarth, it's our mothership, it's our playground, it's where we get to experiment, and we don't know what it is that we're gonna find later with these exciting experiments that we're doing today. The first time I came here, it was very surreal. You know, I'd heard about it and read about it and intellectually connected with it, but to actually tangibly be able to touch the buildings was a very moving experience. Nader firmly believed and would teach his students that hands are just as much tools for receiving information as our eyes or ears or noses. And the only way they start working is by putting them in the earth.
Working with earth it's really flexible material. You can really shape it into whatever you want. I can do everything. I can mix, I can lay bag, I can lay the barbed wire.
Traditional architects and builders sometimes are skeptical about the work that we do because it is so simple.
It's below a lot of engineers to bother themselves with dirt. We can take someone who might not even be comfortable changing a light bulb in their own house, but after 6 days of our intensive workshop, they can go somewhere and get some unskilled laborers and guide them together into building a safe shelter.
Hello everyone, welcome to CalEarth. Thank you so much for joining us out here.
We're very open to the community, and we're all about community. So we have an open house every month for people to come and visit and tell them all about it. You know, my father, he would come to my second grade class and he'd ask all the children to go to the board and say, draw me a house. And we'd all go and draw a square box with a triangle on it. Because of growing up like that, so much deforestation has happened. Because of these roofs, they require wood. So why not make it a circle? So what he taught the class was, let's all make rainbow houses. Let's all make arches.
We have people who come locally and they bring their friends and their neighbors to show them, and they see what we've been able to do with just the earth and some sandbags and barbed wire. They're truly, truly amazed at the possibilities.
After the housing boom here, there was a bust. And all of these homes that were going for very, very high prices dropped.
The type of development that was done is not very environmental or relevant to the desert context. None of the wood is local to this area, and the thin building envelope requires a lot of energy use. So having them be here right up against our fence really gives us the opportunity to draw vivid comparisons.
Well, my father's initial focus was always on building for the poor. This house here that we're in right now is called Earth One, and it's the kind of house that fulfills that suburban dream. 3-bedroom house with a 2-car garage and a fireplace and everything like that. Significantly less expensive than building a traditional structure. Also doesn't lead to deforestation, and literally you're going to build your house from what's underneath your feet.
The building envelope is more sustainable. It will cost you less to heat and cool and maintain over its lifetime.
We've been able to create plans that have passed the rigorous tests by the Building Department of California to allow these structures to become mainstream and available to everybody.
Everyone deserves to have a shelter over their head. They have the earth around them and they have the labor around them. They just don't have that information to get the earth to provide shelter for them. Every day we fire up the mixer and shovel some earth, and just slowly pursuing our quest, one shovel at a time.
I'm Drew Tewksbury. I'm the managing editor of Artbound. I help develop the stories, I work with the writers, and I edit the pieces and put them up online. I first learned about the Date Farmers many years ago when I was interviewing this DJ. His name's Squeaky Clean. He's Spike Jonze's brother. And he had this video that was produced by the Date Farmers. And basically, it was these little characters that looked like a mix between a cereal box and Mickey Mouse. And I looked it up and it was the Date Farmers. About a year later, I went to the Ace Gallery where the Date Farmers were having a big exhibition. And then I made it to the back of the gallery and I saw Armando back there, who was one of the artists. And he was outside of a shack that they had built to actually show the video that I first learned about them. And the thing that really struck me was that the breadth of their work. It was so many different things. It was sculptures, it was paintings, it was street art. They make these assemblages that really represent California. And California going back many generations because they're from Coachella Valley. Their parents were actually working in the date farms. And I thought it was really interesting to see someone who had that many layers of the California experience. My favorite thing about the whole video is that the date farmers actually throw a party out in the middle of the desert, which is pretty common. People go out to the desert and they have a band playing and the shack is there, and you get to see the date farmers actually create their murals in front of you.
baby, look at the car, man. Back from Mexico, 1963, and I making my building here in 1977. I working in the gas pump on the front for a long time, and the owner, he told me I retired and I want to sell to you, and really give me good deal for the buy, and I buy. My son Fabian, he say, can my friend put in good paintings in the back? Say, no, no problem, no problem. I say, yes, that's good, go ahead, mijo, and you do it.
So usually you have to submit a sketch, and here it's just, you know, he has trust in us, and he's just a friend.
Oh, I like the Jesus Christ too much. And I don't know what it is, probably coyote or lobo, I don't know what it is, but it's a good painting, man.
Thinking that we can continue doing art on this property and just the opportunity to be able to build on something for years and years would be pretty awesome.
My job is always to try to have an ear for what's happening in the art world, and especially with being able to spot new people coming up. We were talking about which artists are really interested in absorbing information on the street and in their personal environment, their home environment, and translating it into their imagery. Banksy's crew were just adamant that they said, oh, the best course in LA, and it's the date farmers. Got a hold of them, did a studio visit, and I thought, okay, this is solid, this is unique, this is fearless. I thought this has got an incredible future.
Coachella is a community that has a rich history and culture. 98% of the community is Latino, and I should say Mexicano. And you know, when you talk about the date farmers and the work that they do, the art that they put forward, it all really talks about the history, the culture, the identity of our communities. You know, just their name, the date farmers, right? You look around the topography of this area, and you see acres, hundreds of acres of date palms.
We're not accepted into super Mexican culture, and we're not accepted into like super white American culture.
And their artwork is something that kind of helps us understand who we are.
They're creating these crazy, awesome pieces from what's around them, and that's what's around me too.
Thank you.
As an artist, you're kind of destined to this life of solitary confinement, you know?
Solitary confinement is like the desert. And when you're in the desert, it's crazy because nothing is given to us. You have to find it, you know? That's a desert. That's where we're from.
And the fact that they're out in this small town has fed them to be able to make this very, very interesting visual language within their paintings.
Just, you know, like a kid, it's limitless, it's endless. You could draw anything, you know, anytime you want. Without boundaries or without borders or, you know, like a child's mind, it's just...
And the collage stuff that we get is found everywhere. You know, it's trash sometimes. We find it at stores, flea markets, swap meets, and we're just always with our eyes open, trying, you know, looking for art.
These guys didn't come out of an art school. They were not pre-programmed to think in a particular way, you know, to make their art. The most immediate connection coming from the black community was Basquiat. Basquiat did the same thing. He took his experiences and he translated them into visual language. And I think the freedom in how they make their paintings is very similar to the freedom that Basquiat had in making of his. I wanted to give them something they couldn't refuse And I went and proposed that they take over one half of the gallery, which for us is like half of the Whitney Museum. They were able to so beautifully install a show, and they had like no formal training on how to do it. It just came absolutely natural to them on how to formulate a room. And certainly every single room had a theme to it. We ended up installing a bar, which was all made by them and had all their artifacts. They did an inventive, unbelievable installation.
No hay tiempo.
But it doesn't come easy all the time. You know, we work with the art. The art works with us. And we struggle, and it beats us up, and we beat it up, and there's this fight, you know. We dance, and we have a good time, but then in the morning we're pissed off, and we got to get back to it, you know. It's like you do one piece of art, and then the next time you got to, you know, go around and do another piece of art. You can't just do one.
They had access 24/7. And we'd come in the morning, and the first thing we do is go inside the galleries, and what did they do the night before? And so we literally watched these creations happen.
Tonight, we're done. We're done. We'll be back at it, though. It's going to be a continuous project, you know? I would like very much to not have to do so much other work and just do this. I think that would make me happy. So we got a lot of work to do.
My name is Hillary Mushkin, and the project that I have in Artbound is called Incendiary Traces. And it's a community-generated project which involves a series of draw-in events where we're going out to places in Southern California that are in some way militarized. We're going to 29 Palms, to the 29 Palms Marine Base, to go out there and look at these sort of fake cities that are made out of very basic construction. The Marines dress them up in what they call atmospherics, and they actually bring in actors that are costumed and so on, so that the Marines get the sense that they are in whatever place that they're training to go. Incendiary Traces is bringing people who are interested in that type of environment and in drawing, or in some way just sort of thinking about the Southern California landscape as a place which can help us to understand seemingly remote wars.
This was the Marine Corps' first attempt at building an urban warfare training center here in 29 Palms. This is what a small village would look like. You can hear Marines and sailors with live fire in the background. All right? That's how close we are to live fire. I got 3 separate groups of Marines and sailors training. We cannot interfere with training. Remember, these individuals are learning stuff and rehearsing things that are supposed to save their lives. I am uncomfortable with the fact that if we stop or interfere with that, we could get somebody killed. I'm going to give you a quick brief and then let you start wandering through the rooms, asking questions, whatever you want. I'm going to give histories, backgrounds. You guys can sketch, paint, draw, take pictures. At this point, does anybody have any questions?
What does drawing have to do with understanding this place? Why here? What's to draw here? This is not a scenic overlook or something like that.
There are pyrotechnics and tripwires set up in the entire village.
What's tripwire?
If you hit the wire, it goes boom.
If that's the case, why would you ever let us be near it?
The people that join me at these draw-ins want to sit with us and think and draw and contemplate and otherwise metaphorically trace those places. How can we understand Southern California landscape as a way of relating to what it feels like to be in a war zone somewhere else? And 29 Palms Marine Base is a great place to do that because all of the Marines that were going to Iraq were trained in these mock villages there, and now they're training Marines to go to Afghanistan using the same simulated environments.
I'm a landscape architect, so the way in which we relate to the land is something I'm just fundamentally interested in. And to be here and to see it at this scale and sort of in these ways, and the role that it plays as a training ground, yet has all the sublime qualities of the landscape that we sort of value so much. That's the thing that makes this the perfect place to train for the 21st century battlefield. I'm not really sure what to make of it quite yet.
The Simulation Center, I didn't know anything about what that was going to be like at. And that was so dramatic. I think the thing that is disturbing is that it's easy to be in these places and to get into all of the training and to imagine what it might be like to have to train yourself. And you take all this stuff very seriously, but there's also this sense that it's a game. You are not actually under the real pressures of being in a war zone. One of the reasons why I want to go to these places to draw and to sort of metaphorically trace in other ways these places is because drawing is something that is slow, and it allows us to take in a situation in a way that is very meditative and contemplative, and you learn things about a place differently through drawing than by listening to somebody talk or by reading. The longer we stay in a place, I think the more we can connect to it, and that's part of what drawing allows us to do. It's just to stay in that place and connect. And by sitting and drawing, there is, just by doing that, a point of being able to connect, and it gives us a chance to think about how much can I really understand about the places that this is supposed to represent through this process.
I'm Ted Quinn, and I live in Joshua Tree, where I'm a musician and a writer. I met Sherry Elf at the Beatnik Cafe, which was kind of the hub of the scene in Joshua Tree several years ago. She makes art from found objects and trash. I'm wearing a Sherry Elf t-shirt right now. It's one of my favorites, Black Hole in Space. When you stop in Joshua Tree, if you stop in at the Art Queen, her t-shirts are like $10, so anyone can afford one. It's very people's art. What she's done with Art Not Walmart is she's invited the community in to do this with her. The economy in Joshua Tree is sub-poverty, and they're not making a lot of money from the art, but they're finding that it's so much more satisfying to make art. The second Saturday of the month is a gallery crawl. So all the galleries open their doors in the evenings, and Sherry's are always very homespun, very no pretension at all. The band on the stage is not necessarily the slickest musicians. They're just very, very real. And I think that's what's extremely charming about Sherry Elf and the Art Queen.
I'm happy and I'm laughing, I'm such a funny girl. I'm telling you a story to brighten up your world. I am a girl you like to have around. I'm a spinning pleasure magnet, trying not to frown. Art is flying off the wall. It's incredible. I have planned a party, oh won't you please attend? We'll laugh and dance and spin, we'll all become good friends. You are a world I like to have around. I'm forcing goodness upon you. Don't look so bound. It feels very, very successful. I'm very happy. Hi, Energy! Welcome to the world famous Crochet Museum here in Joshua Tree, California. Come on in. This was an old PhotoQuick building, and it was sitting by the side of the road. I really wanted this building. I didn't know why. I thought maybe I was just going to put it in my yard. And then it all came together when I realized I could put my crochet museum in here. And I like the crafts of old ladies. I sometimes say they are goddesses. I love that they're so human and they're so made with love and made with heart. They're colorful, they're happy, they're playful. Every estate sale, garage sale, church rummage sale, thrift store I went to, I would find all this crochet goodness. I love these cups with crochet Oreos. This is a crochet taco. I'm really fond of the poodles. This is a very large poodle wing I have here. We've got Bert and Ernie, and during one of the gay prides that we have at Art Queen, somebody stuck that sticker on. Basically, I've jokingly said that I'm unemployable because I don't like working for other people. So I've had to make my own jobs. I've been a house cleaner. After I was a nanny for a year, I decided to be a seamstress, and I was doing my art. I had a bunch of art on my walls, and friends were saying, it might be time for you to actually show your art somewhere to someone. And so around that same time, I messed up 3 customers' sewing projects. They were upset. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, I'm getting yelled at for something I'm not really enjoying anymore. I think I'm going to try to support myself on my art instead of my sewing. Because seamstress, you have the word stress in that. And I just, it was too stressful. And I have a song called The Seamstress. I wrote that song at the time I was transitioning out of my job into an artist, which is pretty cool. I often tell people, if they want to transition out of your job to the job you want to be doing, just write a song about it. I was charging $20 an hour for my sewing business, so I'm going to charge $20 an hour for my art. I'm going to take it to the flea markets. So when I see people working at a job, and I think that maybe they think they have to work there forever, I feel so sad because I busted out of the box. What if people, instead of working for $8 an hour minimum wage or whatever it is, are willing to work for $8 an hour and do their art? This was a painting I did recently, Jesus, and then I also did a Jesus with his kittens painting recently, and I thought they were so cute that I had to make t-shirts. The germination of the whole idea of Art Queen was we wanted to show art that you weren't going to expect seeing in just a fresh and new way, because we didn't have to make money here. So we could just have fun with it and discover artists that we thought were interesting that you might not see. We in Art Not Walmart right now are meeting every Tuesday from 2 to 5 p.m. here at Art Queen. When you are continually meeting together, we get to know each other. It's kind of like group therapy in a way. I just see signs of all of them getting happier, more confident. They're having a voice that's being discovered in each of them as an artist.
I love what Sherry's doing because I'm here to tell you, I used to clock in at Walmart and it is no fun. It'll kill your soul.
I have other people to share with my creativity, and that's really nice. They're very supportive.
They'll buy all my paintings. I'm very happy. My son, he has autism for the first time in his life. He goes to group every week and he paints and he joins in the group painting, and it's just been so amazing.
Good job, dude. Yeah, stay out of Walmart, dude. You're off to a good start, man.
There's nothing like selling a painting. Last night I bought a painting from Nathan that I really love, his Jesus painting. And he was so happy. He took 2 boards home to paint some more last night.
What I'm hoping is they will learn to find their art and that their art will take them wherever it's supposed to take them. And this is just a starting point to get them together to do their art every Tuesday and to have the support around them of people saying, wow, I love that, and people buying it and getting confidence. Maybe I'm taking myself seriously as a mentor, as an elder that wants to help nourish people that are just starting or that have promise and creativity to help them develop more.
I was working on a project and I had been coming out to the Morongo Basin, Joshua Tree area to document these small tract jackrabbit homesteads. And I became aware of Diane Best's work because she was doing a show of photography that she had taken of the same structures. But then I saw her beautiful landscape paintings. She works in this, oftentimes, this panoramic landscape that gives you a sense of the space, the vastness. I feel you need to spend a long time to understand the nuances of this particular landscape. And I got that right away when I saw her work. Diane has been recently working in film and video, and primarily shooting video during movement, as she's moving, traveling in the car, which is this idea of the road trip, which I think is this sort of ubiquitous Western experience that a lot of us yearn for, just to get in the car and just sort of drive out into the desert. And she's capturing that within these films she's making. One thing I want to say about Diane is she really personifies the type of person that I think the area has become known for artistically. Diane is an institution of the Joshua Tree experience.
The desert is a place of extremes. I always say that. Everybody knows how hot it is. It's very hot, but it's also extremely cold, extremely windy, extremely dry. But for me personally, I'm attracted mostly to the space. It's like looking here out the window. You just feel like you have infinite possibilities. It's all about possibility here. And I think that's why people come here a lot, to reinvent themselves, or if you can just step outside, you can be out in this space that really can affect you mentally and encourage, creative growth and activity. I've been coming to the desert since the mid-'80s, probably. It was the first time. Came out one weekend and then I immediately felt drawn to it, but I never thought I'd end up here. I was fascinated by the rocks and how hard they were to paint, and anything that's kind of difficult to paint I'd see as a challenge, and I really wanted to learn about those rocks, and I painted them for a long time and did close-up paintings of cactus and the Joshua trees, and gradually my eyes opened up to a broader field, and it's just too much to absorb out here at first. It's just so big and so vast, and I just could only focus on a small thing at a time. And then gradually my awareness came to include the whole broad landscape, and I found myself painting landscapes, which I thought, I never thought I'd end up doing that, but I couldn't help it. I was just responding to my environment, and I had to do it, so. It's the kind of place you do react to in either a positive or negative way. It's not for everybody. And a friend of mine who's a writer that lives here, she wrote the best one-line description of the desert I've ever read, I think. She said, the desert is what fills up emptiness and empties fullness at the same time. It clears your head, it frees your mind, but it fills it up at the same time with all this other creative energy, and it's hard to talk about, really. I mean, for me, I express it in my work. I came to realize that my work really is coming from a tradition of American landscape painting when they were exploring this country, and they brought artists along with them to capture, the first explorers that came out west and went to Yosemite, and they did paintings of what they saw and to bring back to the East Coast, and it was astounding to people what the landscape was out here, the West. And I feel like I'm carrying on that tradition and interpreting it in a new contemporary way. But it comes from the same kind of impulse. The videos I'm making now, I think, for the past couple of years, I think express that feeling I get being out in the desert on those dirt roads more than the paintings. That's what I'm feeling right now, because I can put the music and I do all this effects on the images, so it's like I'm painting on images, but they're moving, and that's the way I feel in my car driving through it. I don't want this to sound corny or pretentious, but it really does make me feel part of the universe, at one with the universe, and in the moment, and that I am a part of everything, and everything is in me. It's incredible. And it's frightening, too. It's frightening. It can be really frightening. I've really frightened myself out there in some situations, but that's part of it too. But I try and I'm very conscious of safety and bringing enough provisions and spare tires and all that. I will always have a place here. And I know I'll always do work based on deserts. And it might not be the Mojave Desert, it might end up being the Gobi Desert, the Sahara Desert. I've always wanted to go to other deserts in other parts of the world, but I haven't gotten there yet.
command his gun. Oh God, what have I done for him? I'm ready. I'm ready for the end, you know what? I'm ready. Well, it never goes away. It turns out I'm ready. I'm ready for the end, you know why. I'm ready. Well, it never goes away. It turns out. Quem na rua se perde, encontra o que perde, acerta o que mede com da terra. Que o erro é onde a sorte está, não queira ver. Quem na rua se perde, encontra o que perde, acerta o que mede com da terra. Que o erro é onde a sorte está, não queira ver. Thank you.